With great joy and pleasure to be with you. I think most priests long to say Mass in this, the mother church of the city of Indianapolis, and it's always so beautiful to be here and so good to see in this the root of our history as a church in Indianapolis, so many who make up the future of our church in Indianapolis as well. A good man is hard to find, at least that's what I hear. It's what Flannery O'Connor said when she wrote the short story with that title. And frankly, it's what my little sister says on the rare occasion when we talk about her dating life. It is essentially what the Army is saying when they say, we're looking for a few good men. We all acknowledge that genuinely good men and women are hard to find. Jesus, as he so often does, takes this one step further. A good man or woman is not just hard to find, but impossible. No one, he asserts, is good but God. No one should be called good. Perhaps, though, we have already suspected this. We have seen our heroes fall. We have seen that politicians and bankers and live-strong cyclists have all been found to be not good after all. We have discovered that priests and nuns can be marred by scandal, and the older couples we look to for role models abandon each other after 20 years of marriage. Yes, we can echo the words of Jesus and say that truly no one is good. And while we can all turn our sophisticated, jaded eyes on the world and say that no one is good, doing so leaves us feeling a bit empty inside. Acknowledging the lack of goodness in the world feels defeatist and leaves our hearts cold and empty. The chill winds of despair blow through the cracks in our heart, and fear for who we really are fills us. It is one thing to assent to the lack of goodness in others, but it only reinforces what we already fear is true for ourselves. We are not good enough. True, we are not good enough. St. Paul makes clear that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. He says that there is none righteous, no, not one. But this does not tell the whole story. You see, the point of the gospel is not to be good. The point of salvation is not our own goodness. The incarnation, the suffering, death, and resurrection of Jesus was not so that you and I could stand before the gates of heaven and proclaim our goodness. No, brothers and sisters, when we strive for goodness, not only do we fall short, we have missed the point altogether. When we hope that we in and by ourselves have managed to be good enough, we are no longer worshiping God, but ourselves and our achievements. We worship a God who loved us when we were dead in our trespasses and our sins. We worship a God who loved us when our ancestors hammered nails into his hands and his feet. We worship a God who knows that we cannot possibly be good, let alone be good enough. We worship a God who looks on us rising up from the waters of baptism and says, This is my beloved Son. This is my beloved daughter in whom I am well pleased. And the point of our lives becomes not seeking our own goodness, but becoming ever more like him who loves us. We are called to be like God, to daily die to ourselves and let him remake us in his own image. Old things are passed away and now we are new creations. The law, all the small rules that we follow are not so that we might become good one day. The rules are not so that we might boast in our ability to follow instructions or to show off the strength of our willpower. No, brothers and sisters, the rules we follow, the obligations we are under, are acts of love. We perform these acts to show that we have been loved, and we attempt to return that love. Here at this altar in just a few minutes, simple gifts of bread and wine will be placed. Simple gifts that in a moment will be transformed into the very real presence of Him whose love for us drove Him to seek and find us. Simple gifts that will be transformed into who we are called to be like: a love, a presence, a mystery, a person who longs to fill every space of our being, a God who knows that we are not now and can never be good enough, but who longs to join Himself to us anyway. Lord, I am not worthy to receive You, but only say the word. Come then, let us leave behind the vain struggle to be good, and instead, let us struggle to be like Christ.